Who's the boxing show that's knocking out the competition? The kick-ass podcast that make you want to listen. The place where boxing fans and fighters rejoice. Thumbs up for Richie. You're listening to The Fighter's Voice.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'm your host, Richard Ortiz of The Fighter's Voice, the only voice that matters. And I want to introduce today's guest, ladies and gentlemen, the one, the only light heavyweight champion of the world, cruiserweight, campaigning as a heavyweight, former unified champion of the world, the one, the only, the magic man himself, Antonio Tarver. Welcome to The Fighter's Voice, my man.
Thank you, my guy. I appreciate it. Thanks for having me.
You know, it's a pleasure having you on. And, you know, it's been some time since I tried to get you on. When I first saw you in Fresno, California, in Las Vegas. And it took some time, but we made it happen. We made it work. And nevertheless, man, you're here on The Fighter's Voice, the only voice that matters. And, you know, like you did Roy Jones, you're simply knocking out the competition. So tell us, man, how did you reinvent yourself from world champion to commentator? And did it come overnight, or is that something you've been working on?
The commentating, I've done it for a minute. You know, a few years back, I was on Showtime commentating crew, working with Al Bernstein and those guys, man. It was great. It's something I've always wanted to do. I've always thought I was pretty good at it, and something that I really enjoy. But I think comes second nature to me just by being around the game for so long. You know what I mean? And my experiences and everything. So it kind of makes me feel like that's just where I belong, man. Behind that mic, giving it to the fans through my vision and through my eyes. And I have fun with it. I really do.
I could tell you enjoy it, and it does come natural because your post-fight interviews, I've always thought to myself, this guy can handle himself. He has all his faculties. His pronunciations are there. He tells you exactly what punches were set up, when they were set up, and the rest is history, man. And you're one of the best recognized commentators in the world. Why is that? Because you've been inside of the ring, and now you know what life like is outside of the ring. How did you make that adjustment and from boxer again to commentator? I mean, you're just a natural magic man entertainer.
Thank you. Like I said, man, I love the fans. I love the energy that boxing brings. I mean, I've been to the big fights. I've been a fan. I've been in the big fights. And I just know, man, those are some great times. And I can just remember back when I was first going out to Vegas to the big fights. That was some of the best times I've had out there, man. And the memories I'll never forget.
I got a question. You got any excuses tonight, Roy? How many times do you get that? That's like Sylvester Stallone being called Rocky. I mean, that has to be your cue line. I mean, how many fans hit you up all the time with that?
Man, a lot. But, you know, it's sort of like they tell me I broke their heart that night, but they always give me credit, man. You know, they respect what I did, you know what I'm saying? And they can really relate to where I was coming from. You know, all due respect to the legend Roy Jones Jr., but when I was taught as a kid, man, it was all about winning and trying to be the best. And, you know, it could have been anybody. I think I would have pursued it the same way. I just had it in me that, you know, to become world champion. And it was my dream. It was a dream that I have since a little kid. You know, when I remember first falling in love with Muhammad Ali, those guys, and Sugar Ray Leonard, you know, those guys was just a part of my life, man. I can think back as far as I can remember, even trying to do one-arm push-ups and eating raw eggs. So never knowing that one day, you know, I'll get the call to co-star alongside Sly Stallone, man. That was one of those things I could never really dream about. It was just something that happened to me. It was a blessing, and I'm forever grateful for that. That was one of my pinnacles of my career.
I was about to ask you that. What was it like being on the set with Sylvester Stallone, while watching a perfection at work, as well as he watched you, and you did help with the choreographing the punches and the scenes, and you were asked to do something that was kind of out of your realm, but of course it came natural.
Well, you know, it was they kind of threw me in there, right?
Yes.
But hey, I was able to swim, man. I really got in there. Thanks to Sly, he worked so hard with me. People don't know, man. We kind of went in there a month and a half before, and we worked every day together. You know, getting ready for that script, really perfecting that fight scene. Took a lot of work. I learned a lot, man. And you know, hindsight, I probably should have stayed in that rim, man. I had some things set up. I could have really made it a career, but I love boxing, man. I came back to the sport I love, man, and but like I say, hindsight is always 2020. If I knew what I know now back then, I probably would have stayed in the movies, man. I probably would have took that a lot more serious.
You know what? It's a natural. It came natural to you. A while back, we had Stitch on the show, and he
Oh,
said
that's my guy.
both you and Sly had some fun inside of the ring. Those times when you told him, "Hey, man, you're really loading up. You're really trying to get at me right now." Talk to us about that experience, and if you do recall exactly what happened.
Well, you know, it was one of those days we were shooting, man, and it's like Sly always wanted to catch me with a good shot. You know what I mean? But
Yeah,
because I'm so defensive minded, even when you know I'm just playing around, I'm not gonna let nobody hit me, right? So
yeah,
every
very
time
elusive.
he was trying to hit me with one, I would ride with it. I would ride with it, but then he started loading up. I'm like, hey man, I feel that shot, bro. You got to pull back some. But it was all cool, man. Sly, good guy, and we had a lot of fun, man. We had a lot of fun.
Man, yeah, that's what I was hearing. That he just wanted to catch this one time. You kind of feel, and you can go back and say, "Hey, I got hit by Rocky." Now let's talk to us about, man, and unless you were on another planet last weekend, you were commentating one of the best ever, Floyd Mayweather, and it doesn't matter if you put the word exhibition. If a person has an opportunity, just like Sly did, that opportunity to load up on the Magic Man, believe
Right.
me, Mr. Gotti wanted to load up after the fight was apparently waved off on, the best ever. What was your take on that leading up? Was there any indication? And the way you handle yourself afterwards as another human being was very, very professional and very observant on the stuff that was taking place. Take us through that if you don't mind.
Well, looking back at the weigh-in and just the way everything was promoted, it was kind of hard to look at it like an exhibition. I mean, this is like we were in Vegas, you know. Hats off
Right.
to the money team Mayweather, man. They did a hell of a promotion. Everybody came out.
Money
It was
team.
a packed house. Uh, and Gotti really wanted to prove that I think he had something to prove. He really
Yeah.
wanted to prove something. But again, it looks easier than it does when you outside that ring than when you're in the ring. He just couldn't land nothing, bro. Floyd was slick as ever. Of course, with all his experience and expertise, he went in there, had fun. Gotti got frustrated. I wish he had that energy while the fight was going. It would have been a
Exactly.
much more interesting fight. But he didn't start fighting until the fight was waved off. I thought that was funny, man. I'm like, but
That's what I
that's
was
what
told. That was the
happens,
best
man.
area of the fight.
Right. In fact, Floyd hit him with a right hand. I thought he almost dropped Gotti. One of those counter punches. It was one of the best shots he had landed. Um, but yeah, it was just the tension. The tension. When you get two big brands like this, Gotti,
Yes.
noted for what they're noted for, and then Mayweather, Mr. Boxing, it was just
Yes.
so much tension. You could cut it with a knife. And I think the team Gotti came down there wanting some type of victory, even if it was a moral victory
Right.
that the money team and Mayweather wasn't giving up. So he was frustrated. But the way the fight ended, I think it warrants some sort of a rematch for Gotti because I think it gives him another chance to prove to the people what he was trying to prove then. And maybe if he fight like he fought after the fight was called off, maybe he can make a name for himself in the rematch. Who knows?
There you go, South Promoter, the Magic Man. Have you ever thought of putting your feet into the Magic mix, man, of promotion? Because I mean, whatever you touch, man, it's like Midas; it turns to gold.
Thank you, my guy. I appreciate that. Thank you, man.
So I want your expertise on this, man. We got a big fight coming up. Errol Spence, Bud Crawford. I mean, my picks, honestly, they change. They go back and forth. They
Right.
really do. They really do. And for me, it's going to be one of those fights where I pick something up at the weigh-in or the walk-in, or I didn't like the way he was dry coming
Right.
in. I got to pick something up. I haven't quite picked it up yet, but I start shifting back and forth. First of all, what do you think of the matchup? Is it possible people are already talking trilogy, or is it going to be a one night and that's it?
Oh man, when I break this fight down, I'm gonna tell you, the fight started at the press conference, the last presser that they did. And
Very well
one
said.
thing I noticed that I don't know if anybody else noticed, but Errol Spence kind of came out of shell that weekend with these pressers.
Thank you. Yes,
He
he did.
showed, yeah, he came out of shell, and I like what I saw. He's always been a shy type of guy, real reserved. But this fight is bringing that beast to the surface, man. And I like how candid he was and the way he was saying and expressing himself every time Crawford was doubling down on him.
Yes.
Man, I think Spence showed us a side of him that we really didn't know he had. And I think that is going to make this fight even that much more interesting. The way I see this fight, and I'm telling you, when you look at these guys, both of these guys' energies, I mean, I think it's going to be a knockout, drag out type of fight. I can predict a Tommy Hearns type of Hagler 3 rounds where we don't know who going to be Hagler and who going to be Hearns, but we're
I
going
like
to get
that.
an unforgettable night come 26, right?
Yes.
July
Yes.
20, 29th. I'm sorry, July
No,
29th.
yeah, yeah,
Hey,
exactly. Yeah. Because we actually got reservations up there. So if you're gonna be up there,
I'm
I
going to be
gotta
up
meet up
there,
with you, my
man. You
friend.
already know. You already know I'm
Okay.
there, man. I can't miss this for nothing.
No, I know, and I gotta bring you a Fighter's Voice T-shirt, man, when I see you, so you can
Okay,
represent and
sounds
rock,
good, Rich.
man. I appreciate
Sounds
that.
good. But
Listen,
everybody know I like Crawford. But with the energy Spence was bringing, bruh, it's gonna be a hell of a fight, bruh. I still like Crawford close, but it can go either way. If you love boxing, you love this fight for obvious reasons, man. You can't pick a winner in this fight. You just gotta sit back and enjoy.
yeah, I keep shifting. Earlier I said I got Bud Crawford at 147, but Spence at 154. But Spence looks like he may want to take care of business at the first fight. I mean, he did not only just come out of shell, opened up. He's been holding it in, and he wants the world to know exactly what he's made of.
He's expressing that, he's showing that, and Crawford is the fighter that's going to bring it out of him. I mean, I think this fight brings out the best in both of these guys, man. And we could be watching a rematch as well as a trilogy, depending on how close these fights are.
Yeah, I mean, you know a lot about that, sharing the ring with Roy Jones. Um, and I talked about if Bud Crawford wins, and he has to get off the canvas to win, and adjust to the style. It's safe to call him a modern day Marvin Hagler, just because of conventional, and you need those dance partners, and both fighters need each other to prolong their career as far as their legacy. Is that safe to
I
say?
agree. I agree. They're both at the top of the game. You got to have these guys 1 and 2, pound for pound. I mean, I don't know if it's ever been this close when you can really pull from each fighter and say, this gives this fighter the advantage. This gives this fighter the advantage. But they negate each other. So it's going to be a hell of a fight, man. I know with the heart that these fighters are bringing, I wouldn't be surprised if somebody got clipped early. Somebody just land that shot early, and it's no real indication of where each fighter is. It's just the fact that they got caught with that shot. I
Yeah,
can see that
yeah.
happening in the first 2 or 3 rounds.
I think both fighters are about to see something and taste something they've never tasted or seen in their whole career.
Yeah, this is another element of the game, man. I mean, they walk in, the winner of this fight might be tiptoeing in Mayweather's shoes for a minute. You know what I mean? For it
Exactly.
being the face
Yeah.
and the marketing brand that boxing is, I think we really have to put the wagon on the winner's back and say, hey, this is the image that we're riding with. This is the pound for pound king. This is the undisputed welterweight champion. That has to take precedence over anything, I believe. When you look at the history of the welterweight division, all of the legendary names that came through this division, and there hasn't been one 4-belt undisputed champion. This is history in the making.
And you're talking about the likes of Roberto Duran, Tommy the Hitman Hearns, Sugar Ray Leonard, and the people that were in the welterweight division. Marvin Hagedorn was stood at middleweight until, but he still existed in the Four Kings.
Yes.
Taking us, I'm going to put you in the hot seat just real fast. You've been asked by the promoter, go to each dressing room and give them your best advice. So the minute you walk into Bud's advice, what words would you give him right before he enters the ring? And the same question, what words would you give Spence before he walks into the ring? You're the last man that gets to tell him anything besides their trainer. We'll start with Bud Crawford. What would you tell him? What advice would you give him? And I don't want to hear good luck. What advice will you give him?
For Bud and for any fighter, I'll just say, let the fight come to you. Don't try to force it, but fight. Don't try to force it, but fight. Let the fight come to you. As soon as you get in that zone, then you know you're on automatic pilot. Once you get in that zone, let the fight do what it does. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Sometimes you just got to go through the motion and have that type of faith that in the end, everything's going to work out all right. You know what I'm saying? A lot of times that pressure mounts and it changes us. It makes us fight outside of our character. I think whoever stick to their game plan and know that the things that they worked on in camp is going to work, they're going to be victorious. Whoever trusts that the most, I think is going to be victorious because it's just that razor thin.
Antonio, I got to ask you this about the 140-pound division. It's just stacked with meat. I call it the meat division. I mean, you can have the Davises, Josh Taylors, Teofimo Lopez. Give us your top 5 and your dream matchup that you would love to take place in the 140-pound division.
Right now, you got to say Teofimo Lopez moving up after beating Josh Taylor, and maybe him fighting a guy like Regis Prograis, maybe, to just get in the
That'd
division.
Be a great matchup.
Yeah,
That's
Ryan Garcia still out there, 140. But I must say, Regis, that guy he just fought, man, it just was a bad stylistic matchup. And I don't think Zappella came to fight. I don't think he came to fight, but he had a good little strategic style. But, man, Regis definitely a better fighter than that. But, again,
I believe so.
If these guys don't want to engage with Regis, he's going to have to figure out a way to kind of make them engage and make them open up a little bit, and that's another different style that you need to perfect. You got to counterpunch sometimes. You can't always be the aggressor. Sometimes you got to let them come to you and work off your defense, fight off your defense, make these guys miss and make them pay. That's how you open a guy up. A lot of times guys don't want to sit down in the pocket, bro, but it's safer in close. It's safer in close, but it's a style you got to know how to fight in close. Make these guys open up, bro. And if these guys don't throw their hands, there's no openings. If you stay locked in like this, there's no openings. So let a guy throw his punches. You just got to be able to get up in him. You feel me? When a guy open his gate, you got to slide up in him. That takes talent. That takes skill set. And, that just shows you that there's advancement that these guys can be making. These guys shouldn't be going to the gym thinking they know it all and they got it all wrapped. No, they got work to do. They need to be trying to get better, man, on the technique of the game. There's so many ways to skin a cat. Why go one way? Why go one way, bro? Just use the whole ring. You feel me?
Yeah.
So, but we can talk boxing all night. You know that, Rich.
Oh, no, but I'm loving it, though. I would have loved to see him cut the ring off and bang to the body, possibly, slow him down, and then let the hands go. I love that matchup there, too, that we just brought up, Teofimo Lopez and, Regis Prograis. I actually think that we may see a possible Jose Ramirez taking on Arnold Barboza, but let's not throw Rolly out of this mix right now. If I was Broner, I'd be campaigning and telling Don King, his promoter, get me that fight with the Rolly, because somebody has to win. If Broner wins another belt, he's back into the mix. He sells tickets, love him, hate him, or not care about him.
Right.
He's there, especially for the
He's a
taking.
main attraction. He's a
Yes,
main
he is.
attraction.
Yeah, he
Yeah,
is.
Rolly, man, it's just so much controversy over that win. I can't forget about that. You know, yeah, Rolly, if they're not going to do that rematch, he's going to have to be very careful about whoever he fights. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Because when you look at 12 rounds of boxing and him having to defend that scrap against a real qualified, top notch fighter, I mean, he has a puncher's chance. He has a
Yes, I give
puncher's
him that.
chance. But when you look at it, breaking the whole fight down, that's about all. And a lot of times he's not really setting that power shot up. It's just something he's throwing. So that's why he was able to get countered so very easily against Tank Davis. And I imagine if he fought any of the top fighters in that division, the same thing gonna happen if you don't find a way to knock him out. You know what I mean? His balance, he needs work on his balance. He needs work on that front foot. Everything is sunk back on that back foot, loading up with everything. Man, you got to let your hands go. You can't hold those hands. You got to let them go. And you need to throw punches in combination. If you loading up on the first shot, you'll never be able to get 3, 4, 5 off. You got to throw your shots in rhythm, man. You already strong. These guys think they got to load up to punch with power. You feel me? That it don't take
He's
that.
got technique flow.
You just got to know how to turn your punch over. And you never turn your punch over doing this. As soon as you do this, the punch is ineffective. As soon as you
I
pull
agree with
back
you.
to draw back, the punch is ineffective when you can just turn it over right there, right in front of you. Boom, turn it over.
Short,
You know,
short and
they
sweet, man.
loading up. But that's another technique that's out there that these guys can learn as they mature in the game. You know what I mean? Get those lessons.
I agree with you. You know, disguise your punches, because when you load up, you're telegraphing. Everybody sees that it's coming, and I just think he should be a little fluent. Let his hands go. I agree with you, and even actually take something off his punches. Rely on his technique. The power's there, and it's natural. There's no need to. Once the ball's hit over the fence, it doesn't need to go over the stands. You know, it just when it hits.
Right. Hey, that's a good analogy. I like that. I
I'll
like
let you
that.
borrow that next time you're
Oh, I
Mm-hmm.
commentating,
got it.
and give a shout
I'm
out
gonna
some love
Mm-hmm.
use
to the
that.
Fighter's Voice, baby. Well, I'm glad I made you laugh, man. And
For sure.
speaking of making me laugh, what's up with the 54 starts today? I didn't get that. Is today your birthday? What are we doing, or what are we moving?
You know what, bro? I've been coaching guys for the last couple of years. I've been close to it, but I haven't really stepped foot in it. And
Yeah,
I woke up this morning, man, saying, you know what? It's about time I put me first. You feel me? And
I
I'm
hear you.
54 years old right now, man, and people tell me all the time it looks like I have the fountain of youth, and I
You
want to
do.
be the best 54-year-old I can be. So I took upon a challenge to myself. I'm going to get in the best shape of my life right now at 54, and just see what happens. You know what I'm saying? If I'm looking good, maybe I can, don the cover of some magazines or something, Men's Health or something like that. But I'm gonna show them that at 54, life could be just beginning. So I'm gonna take on this condition challenge to get in the best shape I can get in by the end of the year. So one of these days soon, I'm gonna be taking my shirt off and showing you guys the results.
That's what's up. I like that. Do you mind if I get on your coattail, man? I'll jump on this challenge too, man. You know, hey,
Hey,
you're
you
motivating
gotta
me
meet
right
me
now.
at
I
the
may not
gym.
take
You
my
gotta
shirt
meet
off.
me at the
I'll
gym.
put a tank top on.
You gotta meet me at the gym every day. Okay,
Oh, well, okay, okay. Well,
for one
I'll
hour,
start
just
here.
just for 1 hour, bro.
Okay, we'll make that happen. We'll
For
definitely make that
sure.
happen. But you do look good, man. You look young. You look ready to go. And that was going to be my next question. Can we see the Magic Man in celebrity boxing, or if not, a big exhibition? I was about to ask you about Nate Diaz and Paul,
Yeah.
but you still have some left, and you are actually preparing for a fight and whatever reason it didn't go through. Talk to us about your boxing future. Are you willing to take an exhibition or possibly celebrity boxing?
Well, they definitely reached out to me, man, but I think it'd have to be something special. I think it'd have to be something special. I don't care if we 70 years old, they're gonna always want to see me and Roy
That's
Jones
right.
Jr. You know what I mean? So,
Yes, that's absolutely
that's always out there. But I think there are a couple of names out there that I think I could really get excited about just even doing an exhibition. You know what I'm saying? And
Do you care to
at
share any
one time
names?
I thought Jake Paul was a perfect opponent because
Okay.
I really was hurt by the way he knocked out Nate Robinson. When all this stuff
Yeah.
began, I
Yeah.
really took that personal, and I thought, with me being 30 years older than a guy, and I'm probably old enough to be his father for real, but you feel me? Like
Yeah.
I'm 54. He's in his 20s, man. Like if a 23, 24-year old man can't handle a 54-year-old pro, then they need to rethink what they're doing. You know what I'm saying? But my thing is, I really truly believe it was his biggest fight. I really believe a match between Antonio Tarver and Jake Paul, he can't get no bigger than that. You feel me? When you look at what I've done in my career in the places I've gone, and to put a fight like that, and nobody can promote a fight like me. You know that. Can't nobody promote or sell a fight like me. So I just
That's
thought
right.
it would be I thought it would be you know, uh art
That's a
imitating
no-brainer to
life,
put
bro.
together.
It would have been a huge fight, I just think. But then he go lose to Tyson, he lose to my guy Fury.
Tommy
He lose
Fury.
to Fury, Tommy Fury. So, I'm always about doing something great, something grand, and something big. Now with him having that loss, it kind of kills the deal. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, with me
It
myself,
does because
I
you
would have
wanted to give
rolled a
him that L.
dice, huh?
That's right.
I
With
would have
you because
rolled a
you wanted to give
dice.
him that L. You wanted to
I
give him
would,
that
yeah.
L. I know you
If
did.
he was gonna get an L from a goat. Don't get an L from a guy
That's
that
right.
ain't. You feel me? So,
That's right.
and he probably could have lucked up and did something great in that type of fight. So you never know. If I'm gonna roll the dice, I'm gonna roll the dice for rolling it all. You feel me? Give it to me
I
all.
do.
Don't give it to me halfway. So I think that would have been a better, more entertaining fight, but they didn't want to really bring me in on that. You feel me?
Yeah. Well, I mean,
Yeah.
you still have a lot left, man. You really do. Um, so they're not in a hurry to get you in there. Maybe, like you said, when you're 70, they're going to try to bring you in. But after you
That'd be too
campaign and
late,
get
man. That'd
yourself
be too late.
in great shape, they're going to call you out because they're gonna propose it to you.
Hey, my trainer told me years ago, man, you gonna be 60 years old before they take a gamble with you. I don't know why. But at 60 years old, I hope I'm still looking this good.
Yeah. That's right. You and me both, man. That's what I'm
For
talking
real.
about. You're a hard fight to train for. You're not going to find a sparring partner like you. You're just not. You got different angles. You're slick. You're just, and before you know it, they're when they're trying to adjust, they're already getting hit, and it's hard to counter you because you're setting a trap for them to get their hands off, for you to just pop, pop, pop before they know it. I mean, they're looking at the stars, and
Man, you
that's been
got
your
my
whole career,
style
man.
down pat. I like you, Richard. You got my style down pat, boy.
Hey, man. Hey, greatness recognize greatness, my man, and I will say
Thank
that
you,
with
my
all
man.
confidence, man. And
Thank you, my guy.
I love the way you put things together, and you don't just give one word sentences or answers. So let me ask you this: Jake Paul taking on Nate Diaz. That's going to happen, I believe, in Texas, August 5th, I believe. What's your take on the matchup, and what's your whole thing about? You got to remember now, because he went from YouTube to sign a contract with Showtime. Top Rank promoted him. Why? Because he puts butts in the seats. He's a ticket seller. What do you think about the matchup with Nate Diaz? Is it too
I
late, or is that the perfect opponent for Jake Paul?
Perfect opponent. Perfect opponent, man. Got a guy got some wear and tear on him. Nate Diaz been in a lot of wars. A lot of
Yes,
wars
yeah,
in the streets. in the ring and in the cage. You know what I mean? Boy, that had some wars, right?
And he's about that life, really. He really is. I've seen him in Stockton, and I was like, okay, well, he has a different mind frame on right now. Right now, he doesn't want to be bothered, so I respect that.
Yeah, he's in fight mode, man. But I think this is a
Yeah,
perfect opponent for Jake Paul. Really, to go in there and show that he does have enough skill to beat these type of opponents. You know,
yeah,
Nate going to come in with his attitude, but I think that will probably be it. I think if Jake can get him in the third, fourth, fifth round, I think you
yeah,
see Nate kind of fall off real bad. You know, it's Jake fight to really do what he want to do. But if he's focused and ready to win impressively, I think this is a great opportunity for him to do that. If he don't look good in this particular fight, then we know where Jake Paul's at. We know where Jake
yeah.
Paul's at. You know, we gotta call it like we see it. You know, so if Nate Diaz handles Jake Paul, this could be the end. It could be the end of
Yeah.
the Jake Paul era, and that's just calling it like it is.
Hey, I agree with you. And Nate's not only taking the payday, he is training. He is putting in some work at Robert Garcia's Boxing Academy. He was putting in some work in Riverside, California. And I'll leave it at that because you know what happens in the gym stays in the gym. As you know, that golden rule.
Right.
Now, since you're going to be in Vegas for Spence and Crawford, man, I mean, the who's who of celebrities are going to be there. That is the fight to be at. And right around the corner, it's a possible Charlo versus Canelo. What do you think about that matchup? Is it too late, or is it still have that magnitude? And what do you think the end result would be?
That's a good fight, bro. That's a good fight. Um, Charlo coming off of that long layoff, you know, a lot of things going on in him with him personally. We don't know
Yeah.
where he's at. You know, I think he probably need a fight before this one, just to, knock off the cobwebs. This is a big fight. He's
Yes.
never been at this level and stage of the game when you're talking about Canelo weekend. It's a big ticket. You know what I mean? And I
Yes.
think one more fight prior to that will give Charlo an opportunity to really get in his zone, really feel himself coming in to a fight. He has to be on a high. He has to be coming in on a high, a real
Yeah.
motivating
Some
high
momentum.
to really carry him in a fight with Canelo. Coming off of that long layoff, not really having no momentum. I mean, I think it looks like he's taking a shot. He's giving himself a shot to fight the premier fighter in the game right now. And when you look at it, there's really not, it's hard for him to lose in this fight, meaning he's going to get paid. He's going to get
Yeah.
paid very, very well. It's going to be a fight that really puts him on the international stage. His brand's going to be, promoted to the highest height, sitting next to Canelo. It's hard to lose in a fight like this. And then if he's in the best shape mentally and physically, it's a fight that he could win it all. So he can't really lose in this fight. I think it's a fight he got to take for the opportunity to dance
Yeah.
with the money man, the premier fighter in the game today,
Yeah.
Canelo. And then if he win that fight, who knows? They might do a rematch or he might ride off in the sunset. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
Charlo, it's a big opportunity. Canelo's going to have to really get in his bag for this fight. I think Canelo probably have a better shot than some people think because of what Charlo does. I think a lot of times that aggressiveness can really uh, uh, be his uh, demise. Sometimes it can hurt him a lot of times, especially with a slick fighter like Canelo. Now, as Canelo has aged, he don't do a lot of the things he used to do in the ring. You know what I mean? So we
Yeah.
got to really see what Canelo we talking about. If Canelo can't really go back and bring that type of energy that he once had when, his punch output was far more greater than his opponent. You feel me? When he used to throw
Yeah.
way more punches than anybody he was in the ring with. Now, when you look at Canelo last couple fights, that punch output has came down somewhat. I think he's going to have to pick that back up if he want to beat Charlo, if he really want to beat him convincingly. he's going to have to bring that punch output up, dig to the body, stay in the pocket. He's going to have to fight, probably like he hadn't fought in a long time.
I agree with you. And I think if Charlo hurts him, he's going to be on him. He's not going to let that opportunity slip away. He's not going to sit back and say, okay, I'll get him next. He's hungry for it. He wants what Canelo has. So I think it's going to be a very good fight. I think that it's going to shift. I mean, I couldn't favor a man clearly right now based on the layoff and based on Canelo's last performance. But at the end of the day, man, Father Time is undefeated. He may want to come in that night. And, it's to the Canelo camp to not allow him to show up. The Charlos, that is a great opportunity for him to show not only his opponent, but the world, the nation, his magnitude, everything that he's talked about, given to him right there on a silver platter, an opportunity at the kingpin of boxing. A lot of people say he's the face of boxing. Well, if Charlo's successful, he rules the division and he calls the shots. He holds the strings.
Most definitely, man. And Charlo has been chipping at the bits. He's got a great record, unbeaten. You know what I'm saying? So I think that's the fight to be had. But I still feel bad for the Mexican fans, man. They deserve that David Benavidez fight with Canelo. I think they deserve that. And it may not happen. They trying to push David Benavidez on bad breaks. They talking about fighting Morrell right now. He don't want none of that right now. Like, how you go from talking about Canelo, now you talking about this guy Morrell, man. That's too much for the trouble. That's too hard of a fight for the trouble. And I'm not saying David Benavidez can't win that fight, but I don't think that bag gonna look like that bag he was gonna get with Canelo. So you know what I'm saying? That's the difference.
Minus a couple zeros.
That's the difference in that fight.
Yeah, exactly.
I gotta fight this monster for that pay cut. I gotta fight this monster for that pay cut. That don't look right. You feel me?
No, exactly. If you were managing David Benavidez, where would you take him? Who would you match him up with? Of course, if you do not get the Canelo fight, where does he go from here?
Man, that's everything was set up for him to have that opportunity to take Canelo's place. And if he don't get that, then he's going to have to, like you said, fight his way through the division. He's going to have to defend now because you got all these other hungry lions that are nipping right there at that top spot. So if he don't get Canelo, he's going to have to fight the guy that either fights Canelo or beats Canelo, or he's going to have to fight Morrell like, they want him to. That's a tough out, Olympian. Guy look like he, 3 steps above all these guys when he's in there. I mean, there's no easy path. There's no easy path for David Benavidez right now, man. And I just, lace your bootstrap up and show him why they call you the monster. Go through him. Go through him.
Let me ask you this. Is boxing in a good place right now? Is it better today than it's ever been so far because of the matchups and the fights that are taking place?
Well, we started this year has been off to a good start. Let's say that. We want these heavyweights to pick up the pace, though. We want these heavyweights, Tyson Fury, Usyk, Wilder. We want these guys to get in the mix. We still got an undisputed heavyweight champion we need to crown. So, I think the sport needs that. And the heavyweight, so goes the heavyweight division, so goes the sport. So we need the heavyweight division to get active, bro. We need them to get active at the top. I'm calling out the big dogs. We need y'all to get active, man. We need some heavyweight work around here. You feel me?
I do feel you. I do feel you completely. I want to ask you this. The Roy Jones business was business inside of the ring. What's it like working together, commentating? I mean, who takes the lead? Do you guys step on each other's toes, or is there a respect there? I just had to ask that because I know when the camera's on there, you're a professional, you know how to conduct yourself, but there's a certain look that you guys will make eye contact, and both you guys are thinking about something. How do you put all the personal feelings aside and continue to be on the mic? And basically, it's your job to give him an alley-oop so we can slam it, and for him to throw it off the backboard so you could tomahawk it because you set each other up during the commentating.
That was a great time we had, man. And we gel easily. It's always been respect. You know, I just want people to understand that from both ends. But when we're
Yeah.
competing at the highest level, bro, it is what it is. You know what I'm saying? And Roy
Yes.
Jones and I both understand that. And with me, I've always tried to carry myself as a consummate pro. You feel me, bro? With respect to
Yes.
everyone. So I try to make my job easy for everyone around me. And when we can just really feed off each other vibe, it's real easy, man. I must say, Paulie Malignaggi was a great to work with as well. So, you know, when you got guys sitting next to you that really know the sport, and
Yes.
so when we see things, you know, we don't have to be worried about, oh, am I going to be, you know, afraid to express myself to these guys? No, they want to get
Come
my
on, bro.
insights. And we're looking for each other insights, you know, because he might see something that I don't see, you know, and we do that a lot. But once we point it out, it's like, oh, okay, we right on that. But it was nice to be able to brainstorm with these guys, kick knowledge and information off each other. And then again, to pick our picks. You feel me? And I think when it
Yeah.
comes down to picking our picks, that's when we really stand firm on our belief. And then you gotta, hey, sometimes we're wrong, sometimes we're right. But
That's right.
that was the fun part about it, seeing how badly we're gonna be wrong about this and one fighter in one fight or another, how wrong we were about that particular fight.
Well, that's good that you guys can laugh at it and move on and create that not only respect but that friendship, that neutral friendship that you have. Um, what's it like just being around the sport in general, man? I mean, have you ever thought of just walking away completely if you could in another lifetime? What would the Magic Man be if you were not in the sport of boxing? I guess I'm asking you.
I think probably an actor, probably a you know a regular known actor in the game, man. I think I had a lot of natural ability when it came down to that big screen as well. Considering that was my first time, I really want to really work at that, man. So I'm available for all of that right now, man. I'm gonna get my head shots back up, start
That's right.
studying, you know, and I'm gonna start, you know, going back and auditioning for some parts out there, man. I want to put myself back out there for that, for sure.
Hey, man,
And if I wasn't
I'm gonna
boxing,
put.
I'll probably be doing that. And if I wasn't, I can't see Antonio Tarver, the Magic Man, ever being out of the sport of boxing. I've just planted so many good seeds in the game, bruh. So it's only
Yes,
fair that I watch them grow. You know what I'm saying? So I'm here to stay. I
exactly.
love the sport of boxing, and I want to be an advocate for the well-being of the sport, bro. You know, just for the fighters, all the fighters that have to take that path up those steps to that ring. You know, I want to fight for those guys, man, because I'm one of those guys. I know what those guys go through. I know how hard this sport is, and we all deserve better, bro. Now that's
Yeah,
the truth be told. We all
I
deserve
agree.
better when you look at
I
the
agree.
sport from a whole. You know what I mean? I think it should be a lot more uh just a lot more parity when it comes down to that money. They need to spread that money around, man. Get it to
That's right.
everybody. You feel me? It's enough money to go around, bro. It just shouldn't be the
There really
haves and the
is.
have-nots. And that's I'll
There
just
really
leave that
is.
there. You know what I mean?
Real quickly, how does Antonio Tarver do against Andre Ward? How does Antonio Tarver do against Canelo in the prime? Break those fights down for me.
Prime. To be honest, bro. To be honest, it's just me now.
Okay.
I can see myself beating all those guys. I can see myself beating all those guys, but you know, those are great champions, great champions,
Yeah.
great champions. Olympic gold medalists. I mean, come on. Andre Ward would have been a fit and a nightmare for anybody.
Yes.
But
Very smart
if
fighter.
anybody could beat Andre Ward, anybody can beat Andre Ward. It's a guy that possessed the abilities that I have, you know? So I would have loved to have seen that fight. I would have loved to have seen that fight. In fact, there's so many fighters that have claimed that they idolized Roy Jones. They
Yeah.
idolized him. They worship Roy Jones. He was God to these
Yeah.
fighters.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, did none of those fighters want revenge for Roy Jones? Did none of them come seek revenge for the great Roy Jones? If I was a fan of Roy Jones and if somebody beat him, it would have been my duty to exact revenge on that fighter.
just
But
the
for
way
some
Mike Tyson
reason, they didn't
revenge
want that
Muhammad
energy.
Ali's loss to Larry Holmes. Correct?
Exactly. So exactly. But nobody wanted to fight me when I was on top, bro. Nobody. It was a nightmare. It was too much risk and all of this. So that's what it was. Truth be
If I had
told,
to compare your
you know,
style to anybody that got close, I'd probably have to say Winky Wright, if anybody. Just crafty. You did not. If I was a manager, I would keep my fighter away from you because win, lose, or draw, you're not going to look good. In the time I think I'm solving something, you baited me in, and you were a tough out, bro. That's all there is to it. Either one of those fighters, I can see.
boxing is way more than a physical game. Way
Yes, it
more
is.
than a physical game, and can't nobody really measure your thinking prowess. They can't measure your thinking prowess. So how can they rate me? How can they
That's
rate
right.
me? So I
You're
know
hard to
one
mimic.
thing. Hey, they ain't want no smoke, man.
Nah,
They
they
ain't
don't.
want
They
no
don't want the
smoke
smoke.
for real.
They don't. They don't. And those that don't know, I mean, they can learn just off your tapes, your footage, the way you moved around, man. It was unheard of for such a long man, tall from the waist up, just your movement. And I know a lot of it is hard, comes natural with a southpaw, but a southpaw like you with power and boxing ability and a granite chin, I mean, you had everything. I would have loved to see you moved up earlier as a light heavyweight, to campaign as a legitimate heavyweight. I think you would have done really, really well. That's just my take from watching you. And but you have an awesome career. I wouldn't change any part of it at all. You're doing great, and you're still doing great for yourself.
Thank you, Richard. I appreciate it, man. Yeah, I think hindsight, I kind of probably moved up a little too late. I did go get the cruiserweight title. I went and beat Danny
Yep.
Green. The world really didn't see that fight, man, because they didn't show it back home. But if you want to go see me execute, at 42 years old, go back and watch that fight. A lot of people don't realize how old I was when I went abroad and won that title. You know what I mean? I was
Yep.
42 years old, and this guy just beat Roy Jones the fight before.
Yeah, he
So
did.
he called me thinking he gonna double down on Americans. He finna beat Roy, and he gonna beat me. He gonna put two
He tried to
feathers in
put
his
you on the
cap.
GOAT list.
You feel me?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah, I'm like, come on, bro. He had a shot. He had a shot, Richard. But when they called me to come over there for that press tour, and I had to travel a day and a half to get there, I'm like, bro, ain't no way I'm coming back empty-handed. That'll be a hell
No.
of a flight back. You feel me?
Hey, you're coming with that hardware, man. You're coming with that hardware.
For sure.
Tony, man, I want to thank you for just coming on here, agreeing to come on the show, man. And I know there's a time difference. Where do all the fans follow you? How can we stay in support? What's your Twitter? What's your Instagram? What do you have to offer the fans so we can watch and support the Magic Man?
Thank you, Richard. I appreciate it, man. I have a YouTube channel and Tarver Promotions, man. That's where you can find Tarver's Take. That's my take on everything boxing. I like to break down the big fights and then give you the recap to show you just how close I was in my prediction of how the fight would go down. I try not to pick winners, even though sometime I will. I try not to. I just try to give both fighters their best chance to win. That's what I do at
Yeah.
Tarver's Take. So you can find me there at Antonio Tarver on all social media platforms. And I would be remiss if I didn't promote my son. You can follow him at Antonio Tarver Jr. on all social media platforms.
Well, hey, it's in the blood, it's in the DNA. You cannot discount that, and we're definitely going to be watching and supporting your son as well. If he has just a drop of what you have, he's going to have a great, successful career, and he's going to be a great person. And actually, I've seen him; he's a lot handsomer than you are, so he must look like his mama. But you do look young, man. I mean, Father Time has been knocking at your door, and you've been ignoring it, man. And you look great. So
Thank
I
you,
guess
Richard.
it's in the
I appreciate
water,
it.
or you are taking care of yourself, my man.
Thank you, my guy. I appreciate it, man. Thanks a lot, Richard.
Absolutely. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank our guests once again. And don't forget to follow our YouTube channel, The Fighter's Voice. It's www.youtube.com/The Fighter's Voice. Remember, every fighter has a voice, and so do you. As always, it's a wrap. Thumbs up for Richie.
Okay, fight fans, it's not goodbye, but until next week.
Remember,
It's always voiceography at its finest. So on behalf of Richard Ortiz, the special guests, and all the crew, saying hasta luego, babies. And always, thanks for listening.